Let me ask you something. This is going to be controversial. Do you think someone who calls himself a Democrat can be a Christian at the same time?
A lady that I know, she said she's a pastor. She preaches. She does some different stuff in the ministry. And she put this new Kamala Harris video is amazing. I actually texted it out. I thought you were a Christian. But I'm telling you, God can give you a dream and a vision, can have you start a business, and then God can help move you, you know? Here's what I told God. And I wanted to say this on here today.
What's going on, everybody? So on today's show, we have none other than Pastor Phil Owens from Belonging Church out of Goodyear, Arizona. A new church launch.
Yeah, we're launching probably November. Yeah.
So exciting.
Soon. It's quick.
It's so cool.
Right around the corner.
Man, I'm glad you came on the show.
I'm so happy. I'm glad to be here.
You know, we always have like different leaders, achievers, entrepreneurs, and I try to trickle in my pastors because it's like, anyone who knows me knows like God first, you know. Yeah, we live different lives where I'm in construction, people cuss, but we still got to keep God first in the middle of everything.
That's right.
In the middle of the chaos, we got to know
that's right
where to go back to, where it started and where it ends.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
So can I call you Phil? Do I have to call you Pastor?
No, Phil. Phil's great.
Whatever, I'll call you whatever you want.
Phil.
So like, you know, you're launching a new church. What's that feeling inside of, you've been through this a couple of times, but I think this one seems different.
It does.
What is that feeling that's going inside of you?
Ooh, man, this one is more like, okay, the kids are older. I have more experience, been in the ministry longer. I'm probably one of the older church planters that I've talked to. And I had to go through some seasons. I had to go through some, I feel like David was out in the backfield tending sheep and doing some stuff, you know, in the background. And if you remember when he didn't get called, you know, when was it Samuel's going to anoint the next king or whatever?
He's a baby.
He was like, we don't even invite him, you know? And I feel like sometimes I've been overlooked, bypassed, but God's like, don't worry, I'm training you up in the backfields, you know? And there he was. Nobody probably knew about him, you know, wrestling a bear or a lion. But you know what? God's like, when the time comes, there's something big gonna happen, and we're gonna. He called me years ago. I've been in the ministry leading worship for 20 years, but I really felt like that this time God was like, I have something big for you guys, because you guys have been obedient, you've been faithful, you've been just being patient. Man, patience is hard sometimes.
Yeah. Oh my God.
I mean, I have a 4-year-old. We go to the drive-thru and he's like, where's our food? I'm like, well, they're making it. Well, it's taking too long. I'm like, bro, it's been like 3 minutes.
Yeah.
But he doesn't understand. He wants him just to hand it to us.
Everything's fast today.
Yeah.
Patience is hard. That's why they say it's for doctors.
Patience is hard. Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
And it's harder in today's world. It's so easy to get everything at the right brought to your hand, and you know, Amazon, Target, they all deliver. Everybody delivers.
Yep.
Uber Eats, all these different, you know, like you don't have to do anything. It's right. And so it's not, now it's like, I want it faster, you know, like you're saying, like, I want it faster. I want it now.
Yes.
And that's the world we're in today.
It is. And I almost feel like sometimes that's what people want when they come to church.
Yeah. They want,
give me what I need,
Yeah.
Sing my favorite songs, do my favorite scripture, don't ask of anything of me, and then I need to go.
Wow. Yeah.
I feel like, no, I really feel like God's, the church that we're getting ready to start is going to actually kind of rewind and look more like the church I grew up in. That's what God has called us to do.
And you guys have to go to see that.
Yeah, because it's going to be like, now I know nowadays people love like nights of worship. Like people will come all over the valley for a night of worship. Our church will look like that every Sunday. People are like, what do you mean? Like, we're just not going to do 2-3 songs. We're going to go in.
Yeah.
Like we're going to have worship, and we're going to
keep it flowing until
keep it flowing. Spirit led.
Yeah.
And we're not going to rush through anything. And then one thing that will be different about our church is we're going to actually have the old school altar calls. Like we're going to have people come forward and receive prayer and salvation. And if they need healing, if they need whatever they need, we're going to offer that every single Sunday, every Sunday morning. Yeah. So our church will look a little different than the church down the street, but that's what God has called us to do, and just be ourselves.
Yeah, you're gonna rock Goodyear, bro. Like
I was born and raised there, so I kind of feel like that's home. And so it's nice living there my whole life and raising my kids there, but actually starting a church there is, man, we're excited.
Yeah. I mean, I've watched the process, these last few months, almost a year or something.
Yeah.
And you were looking for different locations.
Yep. Getting turned down over and over again.
How does that feel? Like, like you got this dream, this passion, God put something inside you, and you're like, hey, let me move my church here. And they're like, negative. The other renter don't want you or something like that.
Yeah. It was like the school down the street we wanted. They told us no. Went to a different school. They told us no. Different school then told us no. District office said, well, let us talk to the schools. And the school we really wanted was just down the street from our house. And it was a beautiful high school. And they told us no 3 times. And I'm like, that's the school I feel like God wants. Now, I didn't say God wanted us. I feel like that's where God wants us, right? Mm-hmm. And within a couple weeks, another church said, hey, we're moving into that school. And I was like, they told us no 3 times.
And they're just like, yeah.
And what? I was excited that they got it because you know what? They said they went there every day. They talked to the principal. They wouldn't take no for an answer. I didn't do that, they did. And so I'm like, congratulations. I'm glad you guys got the school.
Yeah.
It didn't hurt my feelings because like my wife and I said, if that wasn't the place for us, then God has a place for us.
That's right.
That's okay.
That's okay. What's their blessing?
That's right.
Yeah.
And they've already opened their church. They're doing amazing. And then God opened the door for a friend of mine who I've known for quite a few years. He was the operations director at West Valley Christian School. Mm. And so I'm like, oh my gosh, Jeremiah works there. So I went and talked to him. He talked to the board and they're like, we'd love to have a church in here. How many Christian schools don't have a church affiliation? I mean, they all have a church in a school. This one doesn't. And so I said, man, would you let us come in and use it on Saturday nights to do like a youth center, open gym, and then also set up, and then we'll do Sunday morning services? They're like, let's talk to the board. The board approved it. We're moving in October the 13th.
Nice.
And we'll be
That's
using...
my birthday.
Yeah. See, there you go.
Celebrating my birthday.
Yep. Celebrate it right there.
Yeah. So you're in a school.
We will be, yeah.
Yeah.
Right now we're doing like interest parties, startup parties.
It's funny how God puts it in our heart, but we think it should look a certain way. And he's like, I didn't tell you what school.
That's right.
You heard me say it, you felt it, and you looked over and there was that school. It wasn't that school. I just put it.
That's the school I thought God wanted. He's like, no, I have another one for you.
Yeah.
But actually it works out better because like we have friends that their kids go to that school. Our kids will probably go to that school next year. Mm-hmm. And it's not a secular school. It's a Christian school.
Thank God.
So yeah, so it's actually more favor. Like we get to use it on Saturday nights instead of just Sunday mornings. And having like the staff as Christians and teachers and administration, like
there's gonna be a whole different anointing on it.
Totally. Like they're open to like, man, we are thankful that a church is using our facility on the weekends.
Yeah, because to tell you the truth, when we were looking for our church, and when we were looking at schools, I didn't feel too good about it, just because of there's like, I don't know how to say it, but there's like a demonic spirit on over these schools. Like it's something really bad. Like, for the school systems to allow what's happening.
Yep.
It's kind of like, and some people say, well, you can go and change the culture and change the environment, or it could change your environment.
We pulled our kids out of school.
Yeah. That's what we did. We did that like a few years ago when they were younger. Yeah.
I think it was right before COVID. We thought about sending them back after COVID. And then when we heard all the stuff, like it was just crazy. I'm like, we're not doing that.
Yeah.
And so we put our kids into a Trinity Lutheran school. And so they go to private school and they love having chapel, and they're learning memory verses every week. The teachers will pray for them and encourage them. Whole different atmosphere. I grew up going to Christian school my whole life.
Okay.
And so our kids never really did. So when we pulled them out of public, and I'm glad we pulled them out of public school. It's a nightmare right now. That's the last place I want my kids.
Yeah, it's the worst. It's the worst.
It is.
And you have a ton of kids, like 15 or 20. I mean, I don't know.
We could have, but it's a miracle. My wife has a condition called MTHFR. So she shouldn't have had any kids. Like we lost our first one and we thought we'll never have kids. And we had 3 miscarriages and a stillbirth. So 4, we lost 4 babies. We still have 8 kids
is there
right now.
Twins? 2 sets of twins? No. They're all singles?
All singles.
Oh my gosh.
24 all the way down to 4.
Hey, that's a lot of work.
That's a lot of work.
That's a lot of labor.
But you know what? They're a blessing, and they're all like involved in ministry and church and helping. Yeah. Matter of fact, I woke up this morning. Actually, my 4-year-old woke me up. He said, Daddy. And I woke up. I said, yeah. He goes, I had a dream about our church. And I said, what about? And he won't tell us. So I said to my wife, ask him what he said. Mom, I had a dream about our church. She said, what about it? And he won't tell us. And I'm like, I don't know what's going on, but if God's even given my 4-year-old dreams about our church, something's going on.
He's going to tell you when your first day.
That's why I'm waiting, and he won't tell me. I don't know why. He always tells me his dreams, you know? But I'm like, man, this is cool.
I think he's because old enough, he probably wants to see if it's true. So he's the first day at church.
Right.
And he's going to be like, this is what I dreamt. But if he tells you now and it's wrong, he's saving it.
Oh my gosh. So I got to tell you the story. Last Sunday night, we had one of our startup parties where we invite people. We do marketing all over social media.
Yeah.
This lady came with her daughter and her grandson. And I went to meet her and she said, this is amazing. Like, and I didn't know what to expect, because she was like, God, when I walked in here, I felt just the presence of God. I felt like this was an amazing place and felt comfortable. But she said, God reminded me that 2 years ago, he gave her a dream, and it was of us in that exact same building. And she said, God told me you were going to plant a church. Didn't tell me who you were, but now that I see you, and I'm like, get out of here. And she's like, I'm serious. Like, this is crazy. But I remember 2 years ago, God gave me a dream of this place, and now I'm in it. And she goes, I'm just like, wow, God, this is a miracle. And I began to tell her what kind of church we're going to have. And she was like, this is what we've been praying for. Yeah. And I'm like, let's go. So God's bringing people from all walks of life. I was raised in my dad's church from birth to on staff. So I was in the same church my whole life, and being a pastor's kid, and our church was very diverse. I mean, Korean, Indian, Native American, Black, Hispanic, Puerto Rican. That's how the church I grew up, and that's the church we're building right now. Everybody from all walks of life, all backgrounds, all cultures. That's the kind of church we're building.
Is your dad's alive, right?
Both my parents passed away. My dad died at 85 a few years ago. My mom died at 81.
Okay.
And they were pastors for, I think, almost 60 years.
So you're gonna bring it back.
I just, the other day I went to the garage and I found a tub full of all his sermons and all his like certificates and all his awards and all his, I'm like, look at all these handwritten sermon notes on those yellow legal pads.
All the wisdom.
Oh my gosh. I'm going through those right now.
Of course. Why not?
They're just.
Those are gems.
Oh, the gems. I forgot I had them.
Yeah.
And I'm like, a lot of teaching on prayer and preaching on prayer and just all from his heart. They didn't have like, you couldn't get a sermon off the internet back then. We had no internet, you know? So he was writing them directly from God.
You follow Jensen Franklin?
Yeah.
Or
love him.
Or Pastor Craig Rochelle?
Yep.
You know, like Life Church.
Yep.
Or that's Craig Rochelle's Life Church.
Yeah,
right?
Life Church.
He gives everything out.
For free.
Everything.
Doesn't charge for nothing. I love that.
Dude, we use a lot of his stuff.
Well, yeah. And I mean, I think at one point, maybe still, he's the largest church. If you add all of his churches together.
And his Bible app.
Yeah, the Bible app.
Yeah.
Amazing.
You know, so those gems, like,
yeah,
that's priceless.
And I think more of us should do that.
Yeah.
Like help other churches, bless other churches, give, especially somebody else is planting a church or starting a church, man, get behind them and just support them.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially if you're a bigger church.
Yeah.
You know, you have 1,000 people or something, and you see this guy coming up, like, you know, throw him a bone, something, because it's the same community. It's still competitive though. It's competitive. It's like anything else.
It is. I had a pastor.
I've been to all the big ones here in Arizona. A couple big ones outside. It's competitive.
Yeah. I had a pastor just down the street from where we're going to plant say, hey, you know what? Welcome to the neighborhood. I'm excited you're planting a church. Never feel like it's competitive. He said it's all for the kingdom. He said we could all run 5,000 on Sunday mornings. The churches in Goodyear still wouldn't reach everybody in Goodyear. And I said, you're right. That's true. I love that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's a gracious man. He's like, anything you need, let me know.
Yeah, we're not going to say his name because everyone go to Belonging.
Well, one, and I'm like, because you never know when people come, like we had a couple come from his church.
Yeah.
And I never invited them. They just came and we just hired them to be our worship leaders.
Yeah.
So I'm like, does he still love me? Does he still think that? I think he does though. He said to the couple, he said, you know what? If God's releasing you to go to Belonging, open hands. And I'm like, wow. How amazing is that? So, and they weren't on staff with him. They were just volunteers, but God brought them. So we just hired a new worship leader and a music director just last week. And
nice.
Man, it's the perfect fit for what we were praying for.
I love it.
Couldn't get, and just God thing.
Yeah.
God thing.
Well, yeah, it ain't you because If it was you or I, we'd be stuck.
Yep, exactly.
10 steps back.
Exactly. Oh my gosh, it's so true. So true.
So you grew up in a church. Your dad's a pastor. Your mom's, we might as well call her a pastor. She's there. She's there. She's doing all the work too. No recognition.
Nope.
I'm sure.
Nope.
Especially in those old times.
I know.
Yeah, the women didn't get nothing. They were just like sisters or.
Yep.
Yeah. Right.
She was working behind the scenes every day. Yeah. Doing stuff.
She was. She's taking care of her kids.
Oh yeah.
Take care of her husband.
Yep.
Making him shine.
Yeah. And never got recognized.
Yeah. Why he gets the guy, the pastor always gets the kudos.
Yep.
Yeah.
My dad started Victory Church, which is now Camelback Community on 75th and 76th and Camelback. My dad bought the land, I think in 71 and built the church in 72. And I wasn't born until a few years later in 75. So, but it was the only church I knew. Grew up there. And then I got married in that church in 98. And then went on staff as like the janitor, maintenance and yard guy, and then worked my way up to youth pastor, associate, and then worship leader. And then when my dad retired in 99, I think we were there for the rest of that year. Yeah. And a new pastor came in and we were like, hey, we've been here our whole lives. Like seriously, 23 years. Like my dad pastored that church for 28 or 29 years. Started it, founded it, and then retired. So the end of 99, because I remember 2000 that I was like, man, we need to go lead worship. We need to go do something different. And we've been here. My dad's always said, did you want to take over this church or pastor this church? No, I was there my whole life. I want to go do something different. Yeah. And I'm glad we did.
Explore a little bit. I mean, you're doing
spread our
things.
wings and go, And so we got to go, I led worship in Tucson for a couple of years. I was in Oklahoma for a few years, in Texas for a few years, in Arkansas. And then God brought us back about 8 years ago. Yeah.
So when you say you led worship, you're the worship leader, the singer, putting together the songs, the set list, all that stuff?
I would lead from the keyboard. I had a full team. I wasn't a songwriter, but I just led worship.
There's only a few people writing songs these days. I
know. I'm like, man, God, you
don't even need to write them. Just let Elevation write them all.
Exactly. That's the songs I love. That's right there. Yeah. So I got to lead worship for quite a few years, and it was something I wanted to do. At that time, I didn't want to be a pastor. I just wanted to be a worship leader. I was like, I'll do that for the rest of my life. And then when my parents got ill and went into nursing homes, we moved back, and within a year or so, they passed away. Yeah, so just old age, and they didn't die of any cancer, illness, sickness, and so. But it hit me hard. It hit me really. They were my pastors. They were my mentors, my heroes. Very close family. Like my kids were raised at their house almost every day. Yeah. And so when they passed, I didn't know how to deal with death. I didn't know how to deal with my dad, my pastor, my mentor, they were my best friends. Like they were. I mean, they were. And so I didn't know how to deal with death. I didn't go to a counselor or a therapist. I just tried to deal with by myself. And that was probably not a good idea. Yeah. Because it took me about 6 years
to get over it.
I would just bawl, cry. I couldn't think of them. I couldn't think of memories. I couldn't even go to their graveside for over 6 years. Couldn't do it. Yeah,
it's tough, man. I lost my parents. I even lost my dad that adopted me. It's very tough and I grew up screwed up, so I didn't have anyone for a full life. But it's tough when you lose someone you love, Yeah. And the counseling, like you said, the thing about the counseling. So my mother-in-law, my in-laws, my wife, she lost her brother, got murdered in January this year, and so my wife went and she goes to a counselor because it was only them two.
I wish I would have.
And I think it helps her a lot because she's able to process and kind of let go with that person. Yep. And as men, we think we don't need it. But like you said, when it's something that's real close, like a kid or a parent, or sibling, it's like you got to release all that there's all these feelings in there. There's sadness, happy, there's some anger, there's
all of that.
Everything in there, and you're just storing it. What did that do to you, like storing it all those years?
I was holding it in, and every few months or just out of nowhere, I would just break and just feel like a mess. And so what it did to me was, because of holding it in and trying to deal with it myself, my wife would go to her parents' house every Friday with all of our kids, and they would go to dinner. I didn't go to their house for 6 years, maybe 7 years. And she understood because I couldn't see them having a happy family and seeing each other. She had her mom and dad. They're laughing. I couldn't see that. It would just mess me up. So for 6-7 years, I never went to that Friday night. I can go now, and I do go now, but I just couldn't do it. It would just, I'm like, I'm upset, I'm mad, I'm angry, I'm this, I'm that. It affected my whole life.
Yeah.
It did. I probably wasn't the happiest person with my kids and my wife. It was just, I was miserable on the inside, but I didn't know how to handle it. Didn't know how to handle it at all. And so finally, about a year ago, I went to their graveside because I'd never been there since I put them in the ground. And I went there and I just sat there for about an hour or two in the rain with a hoodie on and just bawled and cried and talked to God and talked to them and said, man, I got to find healing and closure. And after about an hour or so, I stood up after just spilling my guts and saying, I'm in a miserable place. I'm a miserable person. I'm so unhappy. I'm so mad at God. I'm mad at everything, you know? I stood up and I felt like God just lifted everything off me. It was amazing. I felt like just so like the Bible says that he will lift and remove the burden like that. It was like it was gone.
Yeah, because once you give it to God, it's not yours no more.
All of a sudden it was gone. I walked to the car, called my wife. I said, hey, it's kind of weird to say this, but I went to my parents' graveside out of nowhere. It was right over by the Arrowhead Mall. It was there's this little cemetery over there by Church of Joy used to be there, and now it's I think Dream City. And just that little, that little behind Mountainside Fitness is this little cemetery, and I went there and it was raining. I just gave it all, let it all out. My wife's like, I'm glad you. I said I was talking to my mom and dad like they were there. It was weird, but I needed to let everything out, and she said, "Good for you." And within a month or two, my brother-in-law came to us and said, "Would you want to plant a church?" If it would have been a few months earlier, I'd have said, "No, I don't want to do that." But I knew it was all in God's timing because as soon as I got free from all that hurt and just, that mess of just everything that happened, it was like God being to open a door like, you know what? Now you're ready. Now you're ready.
Yeah, yeah. You know what? I'm a firm believer of God. God will give us what we can handle. You know,
that's true.
When we're ready, our journeys build us up. Our testimony is what makes us stronger. And God knows when we're ready. Yeah. Just like you're saying, like, when you're ready, God will open those doors. Now, the question is, are you willing to walk through them? And that was when they came to us and said, would you want to plant a church, in Goodyear where you guys live? And he knew that's where our home was at. And I said, man, I don't know. I have to really think about that. But I just felt like, man, I had this encounter with God at the cemetery and I feel like a different person now. And my wife was like, I don't think we're going to plant. No, I don't think we want to do that because it was comfortable where we were at. Of course.
And, it's like you're taking care. Don't rock the boat. And I said, but man, Trish, I think God wants us to do this. And she was like, I don't know. I don't know about that.
She's like, I know what it takes.
I'm good. Like, we're good here.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah. And so after months, probably 7 months and multiple meeting after meeting after meeting, we were like, I went through the holidays and through Thanksgiving and Christmas and January, February. It was a long time. And we just said, we got to make sure it's God. And we were like, okay, God spoke to us and said, we're going to plant a church in Goodyear. All right, let's go. Yeah. And then final meeting, and they said, we're going to launch you out. We're going to support you. And May 1st is your last Sunday here. And then you guys go plant this church. And we were like, oh,
now gosh. You were at another church.
Impact Church in Scottsdale.
Scottsdale.
Yeah.
And so they're like, okay, they're releasing you.
Yep.
That's the proper way for a church to do it for people who are watching.
It was amazing.
Yeah, you want to be released because it's like with integrity.
Yes. So it was like they came to me and said, which is my brother-in-law is the pastor there, Pastor Travis Hearn. And we married sisters working at my dad's church at Victory when we were just teenagers, young kids. And so Trav came and said, hey, you know what? If you want to do this, we're going to help you. We're going to support you. And I said, let us pray about it. So after all those months, I said, man, we feel like that God has said yes. And he's like, all right, well, we're going to take care of you. We're going to support you for 1.5 years. Nice. We're going to support you guys financially. We're going to support the church financially. We're going to give you a gift to go buy all of your equipment and everything you need. And so they've been a huge blessing. Huge blessing.
That's
like
amazing.
we wouldn't have done it without them. There's no way.
Yeah.
And this prayer and support from all the staff in there. And, we did give over 7 years there, and we saw the church grow. And I think they saw the faithfulness that we did at Impact. And they're like, we want to help you.
Yeah, it's grown a lot in the last 5, 6, 7 years. A lot. Yeah,
I would say since we've been there.
They were in a little building before.
In the air park. Yeah. We were there running probably, 12, 1,500. And now they probably run 6, 7, 8,000.
Yeah, throughout the week. Yeah.
Yeah. And then sometimes, some weekends we would hit 10,000. Easter we hit 14,000. So it was a blessing. And I learned a lot being there. And I can take what I've learned those 7 years there, and we're using it to plant Belonging Church.
Yeah, that's amazing. So they'll be the covering over your church.
Yep, for the first year and a half. They said, we're going to support you. And after a year and a half, you guys are on your own, and you guys you're going to do amazing things.
Yeah.
I said, man, just what a blessing for a year and a half.
That's huge.
Nobody gets that.
Nobody gets that.
All my church planting friends are a little jealous. They're like,
nobody.
Man.
I'm telling you right now, like, I like. Thank God we're doing okay.
Yeah.
In our church, my wife and myself, because we're probably like 50% of the funding.
Yeah.
And so when we're doing this move and stuff, and the stuff we do, is like, God's give us the resources. So I know what it takes. Listen, guys, whoever's listening, running a church is super hard. Being a pastor is super hard.
Yep.
The hardest thing, I told my wife this, and you'll know, and some people don't agree, but you'll know, is I go, listen, because I grew up rough. I told you earlier, I was giving up early.
Yeah.
And, I like to do drugs. I always tell people I was a good kid that liked to do bad things.
Wow.
I like to do criminal activity. I like to do drugs. I like to mess around with girls, all this stuff. And, but I said, so I live this bad little rough life, right? I go, and I told her this a few years ago. I go, I think you had it rougher than me. And she goes, why? I go, you grew up in a church where you didn't know who's who, and the people you loved backstabbed you.
Oh.
And I go, the religious mindset, I go, at least in the hood, we knew Flaco and Chico and Weddle or whoever. We knew them, what they were capable of. If that was a tough guy, not a tough guy, I want to be. You knew who they were.
Yep.
And I'm not saying this about all church people, by no means. But I told her, I go, I think you had a rougher life than me. And she looked at me like, whoa.
Wow.
Because it's true. It hurts. As a pastor or, working in the church, whatever capacity that is, you love a lot of people. You have to.
Yeah.
Right. And you get your heart broken a lot. Like, and then the kids see it, so she was a kid of a pastor, pastor's daughter. Mm-hmm. And so she had to see her parents get hurt.
Yep.
She had to go through the hurt, right?
Yep.
So like, so
church hurt is real.
It's real. It's hard. You're a counselor, you're a friend, you're a brother, you're everything to some of these people.
Yeah.
Until you're not.
Yeah.
And the prayer is that it doesn't happen that way, but people are people.
I just over the last few months hearing pastors say, like, when somebody leaves your church, it's devastating. So they say pastors want to give up and quit. If 2 families leave their church, they're willing to give everything up and quit.
Especially a close one that's been riding with them for 4 or 5 years or whatever.
Yes. And I'm like, no, that's true. And like you said, the gossip, the church hurt, it's real. And I think we have a lot of people in Arizona, in America, that have been hurt by the church.
Yeah.
And we've got to fix that.
Yeah, we have to fix it. It's that's why you hear, like, and we're talking about this just because I'm bringing up, because I grew up on the other side.
Yeah.
Hypocrites and this and that. And now that I'm on, like, I am a believer, I'm a man of faith, man of God. I try to talk, when people try to talk to me about this stuff, and I just let them know, like, listen, everyone's human.
Yeah.
The Pastor Phil Owens is human.
Yep.
He's not freaking God. He's not Jesus. He's never going to walk on water. Yep. Right. And so you hurt the same way. You laugh the same way. You get mad the same way.
That's right.
You're going to mess up the same way. You're going to accidentally tell a lie the same way.
Yep.
The difference is you're going to try to do your best. And that's what the thing is, what religion is. But religious people tend to look at people.
Yeah.
And they're holding you up on this pedestal as they're judging you.
I was going to say that.
You're a target now.
Yep.
You know, and it's like, come on, guys. Like, why does this person I mean,
yeah.
You know, for me, when these days I'm looking at a pastor, I'm like, I can learn something from this guy.
Yep.
He's going to give me something. He's going to plant a seed in me.
Yep.
And that's how people got to look at it.
Don't look at them as superheroes on a pedestal. You put them too high because everybody can fall and make a mistake. Look at the Bible. David, God's own heart, made a mistake. Big mistake, few mistakes, lots of mistakes. And I think that's the thing is a pastor is human just like you are, faults just like you have, imperfections just like you have. They're not going to be perfect. Mm-hmm. They're not Jesus.
Yeah.
So keep your eyes on Jesus, right? And then say, pastors can make mistakes and just like we all make mistakes every day. I mean, every day we sin, but we're just like, yeah, we're forgiven, but we've got to strive to do better.
Yeah.
And say, hey, God, help me in my weak areas and forgive me and repentance. I mean, it's the goodness of God that leads us to repentance.
Yeah.
It's not a bad thing. It's a good thing. But just like people learn from their mistakes in church as Christians, as believers, we've got to strive to be better than we were. I was okay yesterday. I want to do better today. Yeah. I want my kids to do better today than they did yesterday in life.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of the same way.
I think what happens is like in today's society, and it's been forever. I could say today's society, but today's society was 100 years ago and 200 years ago. They said the same thing in today's society, right? But it's like, we want more in life, and even say 100 years ago, things were going fast for them. They got it fast. They're like, oh wow, we went from horse and carriage to wheels, right?
Yeah,
this is fast, right? We can get there faster, right? So everything's fast, and what happens is this builds this mindset, and now it becomes, once you start getting something you want all the time, that's really what starts the judgment. Yeah. Because now you're starting to distinguish what you want, what you don't want, what you need, what you want to have, and then you start to look at what other people have.
Yeah.
Right. And then, so the judgment starts coming in, and then you start to judge people for who they are or who they aren't.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
So I had this, we had this meeting one time, and if the guy's listening, he'll know, whatever. But he's an older gentleman who's a pastor, and he looks at me, and sometimes I'm foolish. I'm just real, whatever. and he goes, if he looks at this is a true story. We're in a meeting, and he looks at me and he says, if I were the pastor here, the lead pastor here, I would fire you. And I'm like, I go, okay. And I go, well, number one, thank God you aren't the lead pastor. Because,
exactly.
Right. I go, but how are you going to fire me when I'm out working you, I'm out giving you, I'm out, like, how are you going to judge me?
Yeah.
Because like what happens is like, and this is sometimes where I go bad, like where I'm not godly, is I'll tell people, and don't do this if you're watching, but I'll tell people, I'm like, listen, I pay all my debts, like especially these days.
Yeah.
I don't do anything bad. I really because I value our relationship with God, the blessed life. I value that. And so I'm like, don't judge me. Don't judge anybody unless you're doing better than them.
Yeah.
And I don't mean financially, spiritually. I mean in any way.
Yeah, in all the ways.
Yeah. And I'm going to go off subject. I'll come back. I heard someone say, I don't like Trump because he filed bankruptcy. And I'm looking at the person. I'm like, did you just file bankruptcy?
Yeah, exactly.
So like, it's like,
and it's legal to do.
Well, yeah. Yeah.
it's there not for
like
a reason.
You killed somebody. So when people would judge us, and it's like, come on, guys, like, we give a lot. We have our, not only finances, but time.
Yeah.
When you're running a church, you're there first, you're there last, the service is 2 hours. You're there 4 or 5 hours. Then you're there 3, 4, 5 days a week. And, then you're giving all your extra money because you want to help. And
exactly.
And most people that are in this judging stage, they don't see any of that. They go in, they dip out. They may give it $20.
Yep.
And you're grinding.
Yeah. all week for that one service.
Yeah, all week. And, especially as a church, as a leader, praise and worship leader, you're putting the set songs, the set list.
It's hours and hours
and
every day.
And if you're going on audio, video streaming, that's even more work.
Yeah.
And today everybody's doing it, I think. I hope. Yeah. So amazing though.
Man.
It's crazy. But the church world, I love it because we can teach people. We can show, like, I'm the testimony for people. So like I try to reach people that are similar to me. And that's why I have the podcast. It's to sow seeds, plant seeds.
Yep.
It's to show people, if I can do it, so can you.
That's right.
If Pastor Phil can do it,
that's right.
So can you. If Pastor Joe can do it, so can you. And that's what it's about. It's about what living that godly life is about, showing someone that there's more, and that if we do our part, it'll never stop coming.
That's right.
You know what I mean? The harvest.
That's right.
What do you think?
I love it. I mean, I don't just right now we're in this time with this presidential election and just with school system, and it's who knows what's going to happen in the next few months. And we're planting a church right in the middle of this time.
It's definitely a tricky time. Now that you're saying that, I'm like,
you know what I mean?
Yeah. Because let me ask you something.
Yeah.
And this is going to be controversial.
Yeah. I love it.
Whether we have 100 people, 500, or 2 people watching.
I love it.
And it's political, it's religious.
Yeah.
Do you think that someone who calls himself a Democrat can be a Christian at the same time?
Okay, this is crazy. This morning, I was on Instagram, and a lady that I know she said she's a pastor. She preaches. She does some different stuff in the ministry. And she put something on there like, this new Kamala Harris video is amazing. And I went to just comment on the story, right? And I wanted to ask, like, I actually texted it out. I thought you were a Christian. And then I erased it. And then I thought you were a believer. And I erased it. And I thought, man, what can I say? Like, and I wanted to put, and I'm so disappointed because Kamala Harris's whole thing right now is abortion. That's her number one.
Besides anything else.
Yeah.
And actually, she wouldn't even say it, but it's up to 9 months. If you watch the debate, it's up to 9 months.
I'm hearing so many pastors who I love and I look up to saying, as a pastor, we cannot be silent.
Mm-mm.
Okay, let's say abortion is one of the hot topics, the top topic. I saw Steph Curry say he supports Harris because of not abortion, women's rights. Might as well just would have said abortion.
Yeah.
That's what he meant.
Yeah.
Then it comes out that Steph Curry's mom went to the abortion clinic to abort him. You hear that story?
Mm-mm.
She's sitting there in the waiting room and gets up and walks out and leaves before she has the abortion. He would have been aborted.
Yeah.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Yet he's a Christian. So he says, but his number one support for Harris is because of women's rights, which is abortion.
Yeah, I don't watch NBA no more, bro. I'm done with all those guys.
I know people say, well, I don't care if from conception, from this, abortion is murder, period.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care if the baby's a month old, a week old, before delivery. It doesn't matter how many months leading up. It's murder.
Mm-hmm.
And the Bible is clear on that. You can't tell me that God does not hate abortion, that it's not murder, the murdering of babies, millions and millions of babies. Shame on us. Shame on us. If the Christians, if that's the hot topic, or if that's whatever, Christians at Assembly say that we're not standing for abortion.
Yeah.
Okay, if you don't like Trump, you can still vote for him because of the abortion thing. Well, he supports abortion too. It's so controversial right now.
I think there's a lot of, besides abortion, there's, the changing of genders. There's a lot of it. There's so much. You know what I was telling somebody? I said, if I were to, like, if I was in the political scene and I had authority, I would make it to where these women because some of these women get 5, 6, 7, 10 abortions, like a lot of abortions. That's birth control.
Yeah.
I would start making it a law and say, okay, you had your one.
Yep.
We're gonna give in to your one. I'm just saying in general. Okay, 2? Whoa. We're gonna charge you. Oh, now you're gonna have babies and give them up.
Yeah.
Oh, we're gonna charge you. I would start charging them, convicting them of a crime. Like, you want to give up a kid, right? It's just, so you didn't abort it, but you just gave it up and you told it to eat crap and pound sand.
Yeah.
You know, that to me, that's a crime.
It is.
Child abandonment.
It is.
Right. And let them, they'll start using birth control if you start charging them and giving them 1 year, 2 years, 3 years.
Yeah.
5 years, or you give them a fine, give them a $200,000 fine.
Yeah.
Like if you want to stop all this, start putting some laws in place. All these women, well, not all of them, some are just whatever. Yeah. But like, that's my opinion. Like, put some laws in place. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Give them some fines. Give them maybe the first. I think you start doing this stuff too much, put them in prison, because it's careless acts.
Yeah.
Right. It's just careless acts. Like, we want people to be better, so teach them how to be better. You got to put rules in place.
I don't understand how in America we can think it's okay to kill a baby. Well, it's not a baby yet. It's not born. And I saw a picture of it. It showed a woman, and it has the stomach and it has the baby. Those are two separate lives to me.
The woman and the baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can have control over your body, right? Women's rights. Well, you have the right to not have sex.
Yeah.
You have the right to have sex. You have the right to use protection, right? Or make the man use the protection. But you do not have the right to kill an unborn baby that you're holding because, well, it's in my body. But it's a separate life.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's 2 lives.
And that's murder.
Yeah.
And I just can't think that God is pleased with all the DNC convention. I think they had abortion clinic, a mobile one out front. Let's have, free abortions.
Yeah, I think they have.
Let's free murder.
They had an abortion from, I didn't see it, but abortion, mobile abortion, and a vasectomy.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah. It told me that they're just trying to get rid of life in general.
Well, I think they want to depopulate.
Yeah,
right?
they want to depopulate.
Yeah, and that's Bill Gates and the left and I saw a pastor put on the Instagram this morning. He'll know who it is. I don't care. He said, "I'm woke just like Jesus was woke." You cannot. What? What
does that mean?
Yeah, what is it? Because I feel like, I know that the word has kind of changed and evolved, but this leftist woke stuff, where to me what it means is it's the leftists that
is it like a Southern Baptist?
I don't think so. That's not what he meant. I don't think. But it's like their ideology with the gender, with LGBTQ, with abortion. Yeah, he was just like, I'm woke just like Jesus was woke. And I'm like, we accept, and he was talking about a little bit about immigration. I think he was talking about how our church accepts all the different immigrants from all different countries.
Yeah.
Well, our church would too, as long as you're here legally. And I love you even if you're not here legally, right?
Yeah.
But you got to go through the right process. I'm going to Israel next week for like 10, 12 days. If I just wanted to go to Israel, I just can't be a citizen of Israel.
No,
or
you got to go through the proper
country.
chains.
Yeah.
Hey, you should message that guy back and say, you're okay with all these people here, right? Say, why don't you invite them all to your house, buddy?
Yeah.
Let's see how many you have at your house.
There.
Open your front door and let them all come in. Yeah, whoever that guy is.
My wife is Mexican. I love Mexican people. We have Mexican people in our church, Hispanic people. I look, but again, like, I have friends who came here legally and got their citizenship, right?
Yeah.
And I'm proud of them. And it's not so much that is that these open borders is that other people from other countries are getting in here, and it's terrorists and different ones from Iran and different ISIS, that kind of stuff. That's who's really, it's scary.
I'll tell you.
Because the criminals are coming in, obviously.
So, like, owning a business, for myself, you start to like look at things completely different. Like, well, for me anyway, some people don't, but most do, right? Yeah. Because now you're responsible. We're stewards. You're responsible for your employees. Yeah. You're responsible for your family. You're responsible for a lot of things that are happening, a lot of moving parts, right? And you start to value the things you have. And you even value the things you don't have, right? And you start to see differently. And like, for me, I don't understand is how you can want to just say, since we're talking about immigration and border, just say there's 10 million or Trump says 21 million. There's a lot of people that have come over the last 3.5 years.
Yeah.
Undocumented. No one knows who they are.
Yeah.
Well, at least get their names or something. Take their picture. Yeah. Whatever. Let them in, take their picture.
Yep.
Get their name, take their picture, find out who they are.
Yep.
At least you can go back and get them.
Yeah.
But when you start to have a business and you start to really paying some bills, you start to say, I have to pay more taxes for this.
Mm-hmm.
I have to pay more for that.
Yeah.
You know, so we start having to pay more. I'll tell you, I got a bill this morning. My property, this is a true story. My property tax, I just opened it this morning. My property taxes on my house doubled from last year.
Wow.
Doubled.
My car insurance did.
Yeah. And I'm like this stuff is
crazy.
Why, because what happens is now the insurance is going to go up because of all this. Taxes will go up because they got to pay for this.
Yep.
Insurance will go up because there's more damage.
Yeah.
So more damage, there's more claims.
Yep.
Right. You're going to get people driving that don't know how to drive because they don't follow the rules and the laws in their countries where they're not taught.
Exactly.
Right. They're not taught. And so it affects a lot of things when you don't have proper systems in place.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, so it's fine being an immigrant, you know, being from Mexico or South America, whatever. But I do believe try to live your best life.
Yes.
Don't come and be an animal.
Yes.
You know, come and live your best life and try to do it the right way. Right.
Yep.
But it's insane. That whole thing is insane.
It is. My friend Frank was like, you know what? As a boy in Mexico, he was like, I want to go to America, and he came here, graduated high school here, got us in citizenship on July 4th, and is now working and has amazing family, and you know that's what it's about. Like if you come the right way, man. If this is your dream to come to America, come.
Yeah.
Just come the right way.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. And when the criminals sneak in, that's where we're like, man, they're just trying to sneak in through with everybody else and try to blend in. And that's scary, man.
Well, and one bad apple will ruin the whole freaking bunch.
Exactly.
You know, and that's why like when people are talking like, oh, they're not all criminals. They're not, but
no, they're not.
The problem is you're letting so many in. All you need to do is let 2 or 3 in with the 100.
Yeah.
And that's enough.
Yes.
Because the 2 or 3 are causing havoc, you know, whatever it is, you know, whatever that number is.
I know.
And it puts a lot of pressure on everybody else, you know, and it's like guys like yourself or myself, and we talk about these things, and then there's going to be some backlash.
Yes.
You know, and honestly, for a pastor to say he's woke, that's just weird.
Yeah, I thought so.
That's just weird. Like Jesus did things.
And said he's woke like Jesus was woke.
Jesus did things that were not traditional. He did go against the grain.
Yeah.
But to use it in the same like the same way as the word means today.
Exactly.
Because woke means like you're going against the right system, but it's not biblical.
Exactly.
The woke stuff is not biblical.
Mm-mm.
You know, there's one thing to say like Jesus.
Yeah.
You could say like you led your sheep like Jesus. Or, you know, you went in, you know, whatever you did.
I'm loving people like Jesus.
Yeah, you went and led like some disciples like Jesus, whatever, you know. But to say woke.
Yep. Yeah,
because Jesus wasn't over there freaking messing around with gays and you know, he was staying away from all that stuff actually when they were doing all those orgies and all that stuff.
That's right.
You know, he wasn't part of anything. He was just he didn't even like them when they were gambling and having the stores and stuff like that. He would flip the tables over.
That's right.
You know, because he, you know, whether he was right or wrong, but you can't say that he was that. He was the one that wanted everyone to do the right thing.
That's right.
To love, to give, to honor, to put God first. You know,
I mean, God set up the biblical marriage, man and woman.
Yeah.
He didn't make a mistake.
2 genders.
There's not 3 genders.
There's like 17 now.
There is. And God's like, but I only created male and female. That's it. God's like, this is what I created. And what did he say? And it was perfect.
Yeah.
Now, if somebody, you know, obviously comes into the world and they think they're the wrong gender, did God make a mistake? I don't think so.
Yeah.
But I think the enemy plays on that.
Yeah. No, and today it's
confusion.
Today it's more so like what's it called? Like what's the word? Like when you change like the clothing styles and all that stuff.
Yeah.
It's like it's a fad.
Yeah,
it's almost like a fad to go and be this way. Because when you really see it, like the people that have been this way they're changing their genders or whatever they're doing. A lot of them are coming back out.
Yeah.
They're saying, oh my gosh, I made a mistake.
And how devastating is that?
They change their body parts. When
they were a kid, sometimes when they were young.
Yeah, they're coming out now and it's like, oh, my body my body won't heal right.
Yep.
I got these headaches forever or something crazy going on.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's a fad. It's literally a fad. You know, the problem is the fad is turning into a culture.
Yep.
And a culture would turn into the society.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what we don't want. You know, we don't want the Jesus woke. That's no such thing. Oh, it's terrible.
My son, he loves Peppa Pig.
Hey,
right?
Message me who that guy was later.
I will. Yeah, definitely.
I'll put a message on.
My son loves Peppa Pig.
I don't care.
He loves Peppa Pig, right? And so that's his thing. And so this morning he was watching it for a few minutes, walked out of the room, and Peppa Pig was like, the little child was, I have two mommies. My one mommy is a doctor, and my other mommy is this. And I was like, oh, so now we're going after the little kids.
Are you kidding? That's why they're Disney. Hey, you know, we got this app. You have it? What's this thing called? The church app. Right Now Media. Do you have that?
Yes, I've been hearing about that. Yes.
You need to get into it.
Okay.
Okay. So Right Now Media. This is good for the kids. It's good for everybody. Right Now Media is kind of like a YouTube for the church world. Oh. They have cartoons, teachings, preachings.
Okay.
All kinds of stuff. And what you do need to get it.
Okay.
I'll have my daughter hook you up. What you do is you pay like a fee and you give it to your church. They all can download the app and they have access to the whole thing.
Powerful.
It's called Right Now Media.
I've heard of that.
And so like what we're talking about, we listen to every day. We listen 24 hours a day here in the office. We listen to praise and worship 24 hours a day.
When I walked in, I heard it.
Yeah, 24 hours a day. It just plays at the house 24 hours a day. At the house, whether you hear it or you don't hear it, it's playing.
It's playing.
You know, every morning my wife tells the kids, put on the YouTube praise and worship on the TV. Wow. We blast it because we want to get the mind right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it's a battle.
It is every day.
It's a battle. And when you've been through a rough life or something, or if you had a challenge, you start to understand about it. Some people say, well, it shouldn't be a battle. You had God. It's a battle. For me, it's a battle. Right. Yeah. And the battle is, I have to keep going good. I have to keep doing the right thing. I have to keep the enemy's out there and the enemy looks different.
Yep.
The enemy comes in the form of a pretty girl, the form of money, the form of whatever it is.
That's right.
You know, so we try to surround ourselves with the word of God and the listening of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I changed a few years ago. I never used to like listen to praise and worship or like the channels whatever the
one like Caleb.
Yeah, Caleb. What's the other one? Air One. Yeah. So that's all I listen to. It's like 105.9.
Did you notice how they moved from just Christian music to now they're playing praise and worship?
Yeah.
Smart.
No, well, that's
what everybody wants.
Yeah, that's all I like to listen to. Except for when they just go for like 2 weeks looking for donations.
Yes,
like,
which was yesterday.
Play a song.
Yesterday, I turned it on with me and my daughter. She got finished with volleyball, and I turned it on. I was like, they're just raising money. I'm like, want to hear some praise and worship?
Hey, I'll donate. My mother-in-law won $1,000 Amazon card. I've donated like so much trying to win. I win nothing. She won $1,000 Amazon. Like it's like 3 Christmases ago, and everybody got Amazon stuff.
Wow.
But we try to put good stuff inside of our brains, you know.
Yes.
You know what we put in, like that'll manifest out.
Yep.
You know what I mean? It's this world today. That's the problem, is they're not putting in good stuff.
And that's so true.
The nutrients, they're not there. Like the word of God is not there, and it doesn't even have to look, you know, so biblical. It doesn't have to be like this big Bible. It doesn't even need to look that way no more.
Yeah, that's true.
It just needs to be like a little bit of praise and worship playing here, and it's going into your subconscious. A little teaching here, a little thing here, and you start building it up, You know, you put on that armor of God.
That's good.
So many people think we got to go in and dig in and start at Genesis and, you know, and at Revelations and do all these things. And just start small, start slow, you know?
I gotta get that app because like so many people they're scrolling Facebook, they're scrolling Instagram, they're playing games on their phones. But if they took just 10, 15 minutes a day on the Right Now Media app, what are they putting in?
Yeah, what you're putting in. I mean,
their eyes, their minds.
So every time we're my wife, my kids, myself, we're always listening to something. And I listen to a lot of podcasts.
Yeah.
Right. Secular as well. But I'll tell everyone, I gotta listen to Christian stuff.
Yeah.
I gotta listen to praise and worship. Yep. I gotta listen to pastors teaching and preaching because the last thing I want is for something to come inside me and it destroys me.
Yeah. So we have to feed our spirit.
I have to feed it, you know?
Yeah.
Because like I said, I'll listen to certain podcasts. They don't cuss a lot and stuff like that, but it's more secular and it's, you know, talking about normal things. And I need like that God stuff coming in me.
Exactly.
Because that's what's protecting me.
Yes.
You know, for me, you know, whoever else does whatever they're doing. But for me, that's my protection, you know?
That is really good.
So you also have, a couple like businesses or something like that, right? Some media things going on. What do you got going on?
Besides planting the church, I've been in production, and just because of worship leader, I've learned how to do lighting and video, and I've ran sound for a lot of big time people and stuff like that. So I love that world. That's what I did at Impact Church. So we started two different companies. One is called Church Pro Gear. So what we do is if churches need, if they're a new church or if established church, I'm an authorized dealer for like all the big brand names like Shure and Shure microphones, Allen and Heath, EAW, Global Trussing. So what we do is we give all these.
Allen Heath's really good board.
It's good board. That's good stuff. I just installed a couple new boards up north at a church. And then we're doing an LED wall for them too. So I own an LED wall brand called Luminous because right now LED walls are really popular in churches,
They're really
right?
Expensive.
They're expensive. So what I'm doing is I'm saying, hey, I'm a dealer for all the big brand names. So Unilumin, Rowe, ADJ, Chave, Absen, right? I can get you those walls. They cost $100,000, right? But my wall, Luminous, is made in the same factories because they're all made in China. There's not one LED panel made in America. So I bypass the middleman and I exclusively do it for churches. Our wall has a 5-year warranty where everybody else's has its 2-year warranty. Instead of paying $100,000 for a wall or $80,000 for a wall, I get them half price. And churches are like, what? So the church up north, they're getting ready to pay like $40,000 for a wall that would normally cost them $85,000.
What's that get them? A 30-foot long, 20 feet? 50,
I think they're doing
high?
73 panels. So they're doing columns, lyric strips. So yeah.
How big's a panel?
A panel's about 20 inches by 20 inches.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah, so it's a pretty good size.
Yeah.
And so normally they're about $1,200 a panel for the nice ones. Sometimes $1,300 a panel. So I'm doing them for like $7,000. So they're getting half price, free installation, 5-year warranty.
Nice.
And so churches are like, well, I didn't know that you would get them that cheap.
Yeah.
And I said, well, through Luminous, you can.
I'm going to have to start selling them too for you.
Hey, I
like
love
$500.
I love it. It's fun for churches to help save them because also they're nonprofits. So I make sure to charge no tax to them. So they're saving. Don't go through Sweetwater. Don't go through Guitar Center. Don't go through online B&H Photo. Come to me.
No,
Church
now that
Pro
I know,
Gear.
I'm going to go through you.
I can get anything
I need
you
lenses
want.
right now.
I do cameras, lenses, projectors, LED walls, speakers, like you name it, anything in the church world. And then we come and set it up for free. So like the guy that bought 2 soundboards for his church up north, we came in, pulled all the settings off his old console, put on the new console. We didn't charge him for that because we love helping churches. But I saved him over $1,000 and we did free installation.
Mm-hmm.
We walk them through it.
What kind of boards were those? Those
were the, have you seen the Midas M32 Lives? M32. So we installed 2 of thmy there.
Yeah.
One for broadcast and one for front of house. So Midas M32 Live boards.
Yeah, we have the, oh my God, my mind's drawing blank. Not the Midas. What's the other brand?
The Behringer?
Behringer.
So they had 2 Behringers. They both kind of
Midas is step up.
Yeah, and now Behringer owns Midas.
Yeah, that's the same thing.
So same. So his boards, they've been through a lot. And then they had a power surge. They had some lightning strikes. He said the boards just aren't working and they're super old. So we upgraded them, saved them $1,000, no tax.
That's this size.
Yeah, it's like a 32 channels. Yeah, it's really 40,
what we have.
40
we have
inputs.
The Behringer. It's digital.
Probably the Wing or the X32.
Us? X32.
So that's what they had. So they had 2 X32s. We took the 2 X32s out, put the M32s in, pulled all their settings off, installed them on the new boards.
Yeah, because it's all the same software.
Same software.
Yeah.
The M32 has better preamps and have some new features.
Oh yeah, they have a lot of have a lot of stuff.
So it's going to be new, and they're still affordable.
All the Midas equipment's a step up.
It is. And so online they're $4,000, right? $39.99 plus taxes. So you're looking at, I don't know, say $4,800. So I think they got $1,000 off when they bought two.
Nice.
And free installation. I delivered them to them, installed them.
Yeah.
And so their LED wall should be here in about 30 days.
Dude, that's gonna look so good.
Oh, it looks amazing.
Like you're talking to me and I'm like, where can I put an LED wall?
This whole wall right here.
I'm literally thinking like, because we're gonna be at the AMC, but I'm like, where can I put an LED wall?
They're amazing. So right now, I think 4 or 5 churches getting LED walls.
Oh, dude, I should do. There's 700 a panel.
Yep.
Huh. Okay, I'm gonna give you a size later.
Yeah, I'm telling you. And here's the cool thing is, here's what I told God, and I wanted to say this on here today. I know there's a lot of people who say pastors are in it for the money.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Oh, that pastor drives that fancy car. I'm hearing it more and more, right? And it just, people are saying,
hey, you should look like a rag doll,
right?
Like you rolled in dirt.
You should be driving a Honda Accord, 1993, right? Yeah. And so God has blessed us with Church Pro gear and also Arizona Live Production, and I do real estate too, right? And it doesn't take a lot of time up, but I help churches and I help people find houses, and God has really blessed me in that area because I love people, and that's why I'm a pastor. I love people,
yeah.
And so I told God, I said, so with Belonging Church, I don't take a salary from Belonging Church at all, not a penny. And our goal is that God bless us enough, right, with our businesses to where I never take a salary from Belonging Church.
Yeah.
That's my goal.
Yeah.
That's my dream. I told God.
You'll still get judged.
Exactly, right? You'll still get, you drive that car, you drive that Tesla, you live in that house. But you know what? I can say, hey, you know what? God blesses our businesses.
Yeah.
And we want to pastor for free.
Yeah.
That's our dream.
Yeah.
And I think God's honoring that.
I like that. Yeah. And as long as you do what you're supposed to be doing, you're going to give back.
Yes. And be maybe the biggest giver in the church.
You are going to be the biggest giver.
Said, yeah. You might give half the income to the church right now, right?
Yeah.
So maybe you live in a nice house, you drive a nice car, but you know what? You're a giver, right?
I'm a big giver.
And that's you can't outgive God.
You can't outgive God. We're like, we believe and the plow, plant, water, harvest methods.
Yes.
These are biblical
yes.
Methods. These are like laws. These are, what's the word I'm looking for? Principles. These are the biblical principles that you live by. Like, how can you not want to till the ground, plant some seeds, water the seeds? Even if I plant a seed in you, Pastor Phil.
Yep.
I plant a seed in you. Somebody else is going to come and water it eventually because they're going to tell you the same thing.
Yep.
That's called confirmation.
Yep.
Right? The harvest comes. We all reap.
Yeah.
We all reap. And I tell people all the time, I go, think about this. Then we reap, okay? And here's where people make the mistake. Is they make the mistake because the harvest comes, right? And you got the people that don't know what to do with it. Or they do the wrong thing with it, right? Because people always look at me and they're my wife too, like, you guys got it easy, you guys got it this, you guys got it that. I go, no, we got the harvest. So think about this. Yeah. When the harvest comes, you think about an orange orchard.
Yep.
You got, say, 100 trees, oranges everywhere, right?
Yeah.
What has to happen to that at that orchard? So we have to pull the oranges.
Yep.
Right? We have to store the oranges.
Yep.
Right? You got to protect them while you're storing them, right?
Yep.
Then you got to distribute the oranges.
Yep.
Right? Because you can't eat them all. Because you just ate your harvest.
Exactly.
You can't leave them under to rot because you just killed your harvest.
Yep.
Right? But then you got to distribute them. So it's like, okay, that's where the magic happens, is the distribution of the harvest is, okay, we got all these oranges now, right? Well, you know what? We're going to start a business and we're going to sell oranges on the street. We're going to give these family oranges every week. We're going to take a thing of oranges for ourselves, for our family.
Yeah.
And then we're going to plant more seeds.
Yeah.
That's the harvest. That's the work of the harvest. And that's where people get it lost, is they get the harvest and they don't do the rest of the work. They do one of the things, they take it and keep it, or they leave it and let it rot.
Yeah.
Or maybe they give it all away, but then they don't have nothing to plant again.
Yeah.
And
And what season are you in? Seed, time, the waiting, harvest.
Yeah. Yeah. And you got to recognize that, you know, because sometimes we think we're in harvest season and then stuff hasn't even grown out yet. It's not even fully matured. Yeah. These are little baby oranges. These are little, they look like limes, but they should be looking like lemons.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
And now you're pulling them too early. You're messing up the blessing.
Yep.
You're, like you said, had you went to that school, had you really forced that school, you may have messed up your blessing.
Exactly.
You know
exactly.
I mean? It's so cool.
I think a cool thing is too that God blessing us with our businesses, with entrepreneurship. Back when I was a young worship leader, churches back then, let's say 15 years ago, 20 years ago, didn't have a lot of money to pay a worship leader. So here I have big family. Like back then, even if we had 5-6 kids.
Big family. Bro,
yeah.
Massive.
5-6 kids. I couldn't even support my family.
Yeah.
It was tough. I mean, I can tell a story that I've never told before, that I told my wife. I said, man, I don't know what to do to pay the bills. She's like, I don't know. I said, I've scraped change out of my car, looked under the seats, looked in my dresser drawer, like everywhere. And I said, I need your ring, your wedding ring. And she was like, what? I'm like, I've got to go pawn it. I didn't even know how pawning worked, but I've heard, right?
You're like, I just got to get some money.
I said, water's going to get cut off. Electric's going to get cut off. I don't know what to do. And so I remember taking her wedding ring to the pawn shop, and they said, well, we can only test the gold. We can't test the diamonds. The diamond, yeah. And I'm like, this ring's probably worth, $2,000 or $3,000. Well, we can give you $600 for the gold. And I said, all right, I'll take 6, right? I go pay the bills. And I think you have like 30 days. You come back, and I came back 5-6 days later, like beyond the 30 days. And I remember my heart dropped when he said, it's past time. You were supposed to be here at this date. I said, I didn't have the money to repay you, because you got to pay the $600 plus the fee.
The fee, yeah.
And I was like, I don't know what to do. I mean, I waited in line before to get bills paid. We were on Access. We were on food stamps. And so I remember that day saying, the ring has to be there. Can you check again? He's like, it's not there. It's gone. And I'm like, how do I tell my wife that I lost the wedding ring? Like that was the one thing I gave her that she would have forever. And I remember him saying, well, you can go check the glass cases out front, but I'm sure it's gone. And I'm going through the glass case, looking at every row, and I'm just nervous. I'm scared. I'm feeling sick. I'm feeling nauseous. And I see the ring, and I said, can I see that? And it's hers. And I'm like, I will never do this again. God, you've got to help me. Like this was devastating, but I had to pay it back, obviously buy it back from the pawn shop. And we've had broken down cars, wouldn't run. We've had cars given to us. And so to live in a whole different world now, like the other day, my wife and I just looked out, and we looked at our house, and we looked at the cars, and we thought, wow, we've come from a long ways of just not having anything, nothing, couldn't pay the bills. I got evicted one time. I had to file bankruptcy. I had nothing. And we did that because we moved back to take care of my parents. We moved back without a job. And so before long, I'm going to court to be evicted. And how do you tell your kids, you're getting evicted from their house because you don't have any money? And then all of a sudden we filed bankruptcy, and they're like, why are you filing bankruptcy? To keep my car, because I don't want to get repoed. And they said, well, sorry, your car's getting repoed anyway.
Oh, wow.
Well, I thought bankruptcy would help keep my car. No, I didn't know what I was doing. And I felt like, man, we lost everything. We have nothing. And now we look at where we're at 10 years later.
But God.
Blown away at what God can do. Yeah. Blown away with what we have, and the house we live in, and the cars we drive, and there's money in the bank. And it's like, we have money in our Roth. We have Roth IRAs now.
Nice.
Was never offered that. At church, I was never offered health insurance.
No, most churches don't offer nothing.
Or retirement.
There's only so much money in the church.
Yeah, right? Yeah. And so
unless it's a mega church.
Lived by faith, and we just said, hey, I don't even care how much you pay me. I just want to be able to take care of my family. But with the businesses, with the real estate, man, God is blessed. A couple months ago, I sold almost $2.3 million in real estate.
Nice.
The year before, over $3 million in real estate.
Nice.
And it's like, you know what, God, thank you, but we're faithful to what we have. And it's good steward what we have.
Gotta be a good steward.
And so it's nice to not have to be on access and government assistance and food stamps.
Mm-hmm.
And hey, we were there and people are there right now. But I'm telling you, God can give you a dream and a vision, can have you start a business. And then God can help move you, to get off of that stuff. I know it's hard because you get stuck on that. And we were there for years.
Yeah.
And it was needed. It was necessary. I'm glad we had it. It was a blessing at the time.
Yeah.
But now seeing my kids grow and get jobs and start businesses and do their thing, I love seeing my kids do better than I've ever done before.
Yeah.
When I was their age.
I think it's what holds us back is our level of faith, our lack of faith, our lack of trust in God. Because God says give it to him and he'll knock your socks off, bless you with your wildest dreams, your wants, your desires, all of it. The problem is we hold ourselves back.
Yeah.
The faith has to be built up. It's like a muscle. It's got to be built up. Like we don't see it, so we can't envision it. We can't think it's going to happen. We think, well, what's crazy is, oh, that can happen to me. Well, it happened to them.
Yeah.
It happened to that guy.
Yeah.
That dummy guy freaking driving an Escalade or whatever. I'm just saying that.
Yeah.
But you're questioning God to do this for you.
Yeah.
That's our problem as people, as humans, as Christians, is the faith. You let a little issue happen in your life and your faith goes down. And for me, people will say Chris, you're confident. Because I'm blessed.
Yeah.
Not only do I believe in my own abilities and I believe in my children's abilities and my wife's abilities, our team's abilities, but most of all, everyone downstairs knows, everyone in my business knows, God's got this.
Yep. God's got this.
And so all I know is I say, okay, I just got to work.
Yep.
God says and people are God to talk to you, whatever. But I'll get this thing inside of me and says, okay, Chris, you got to work 12 hours a day for the next 3 years. You got to work. Yeah. This is what it's going to take.
Yeah.
And if you don't do it, you ain't going to get it.
That's right.
And not only that is if I don't do what I'm supposed to do, how am I going to be the blessing to someone else? Yeah. How am I going to be the testimony to someone else?
Yeah.
How am I going to show that next generation of if he did it, so can I?
That's right.
So it's up to us to show people that we can do more in life.
Yeah. Because you're not going to get there by accident.
No.
By hard work, yeah.
Hard work. You put God first, build up your level of faith, and put your head down and start grinding.
Because if you would have been I think we're going to grow this business and not put much into it, you wouldn't be where you're at today.
No.
It took blood, sweat, and tears.
And we've had hard times. We've had, I could tell you story after story where we had no money, we had this, that, and something comes in, boom. When we were first starting, we would, we'd have to make payroll. We're young,
Yeah.
And we have no money, and we'd be like, oh God, we still tithe. We have tithe no matter what.
Wow.
Us $2 million, and I still tithe 10%.
Wow.
So, it's a true story. But I remember those stories. Man, we had no food, no money. We need to make payroll, 10 guys or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's Friday, and we're like, oh my God, we can't. This is gonna be the first payroll we can't pay.
Yeah.
Get a call 2:30. Hey, we got a check for you. Come to Chandler. Oh my God, that's a far drive. Hurry up and go to Chandler.
Yeah, hurry.
Either Felicity or I deposit the check there at the bank closest. Yes. It's right here. The bank's right there. Get over there and deposit it. Boom.
Yep.
Check. Payroll. Boom. Payroll.
Barely made it.
Boom. Payroll. And it's we've made we've been blessed, right? But there's been the times, and there's been plenty of times, even recently, where it's God just said, "Don't worry."
Don't worry.
And he shows us on purpose and says, "Don't worry." Yeah. And then we say, "Oh shoot, okay,
God's got this."
Cool. What do you want me to do? You want me to keep working hard? Okay, no problem.
Yeah.
I work for you.
That's right. That's right.
Right. We're gonna start wrapping up, but there's a who was this? Was it Stephen Furtick that said this? You may have heard this, and it's real simple. I save all kinds of I call them growth mindset notes. Most of them are teachings, preachings.
I love it.
Okay. Yeah, Stephen Furtick. He said, you can give God your problem, but make sure you give your problem God.
Yeah.
And that's the problem.
That is.
We don't give it to God. Yep. We tell God about our problems. Oh, please this, please that. But we just don't give it to God. That's the level of faith.
So good. You got to give it to him. And when you give it to him, don't take it back.
Don't take it back.
Leave it.
That's the weight you got rid of.
Yes.
That's the weight you got rid of.
I had to give it to God immediately. Thank you. I'll take that.
Yeah.
I'll take that from you. I got this.
Yeah. Just like you do for your kids.
And don't carry it around no more. So it's a weight on your shoulders that you don't need to. That's why he said, I'm here to carry that, not you.
Yeah. Yeah. So Pastor Phil, where can we find you?
So right now we have meetings almost every weekend, but definitely follow us on Instagram, Belonging Church AZ. So some Sunday nights we're meeting at Sonny's Old Town. Some Sunday nights we're at Anthem Coffee. But this Saturday night, it's going to be, this will be Saturday, September.
Night, right?
Night of worship. September 21st, Saturday night at 7 p.m., Anthem Coffee at Litchfield Park. We're doing a night of worship.
Nice.
It's going to be amazing.
Nice. So follow him. He's doing big things. If you're in Goodyear, near there, you want to take a drive there. Yeah. He's doing big things. He's going to grow. Let's support him. Follow, like, and subscribe to all of our stuff. And just keep watching us do what we do. Be blessed.